Hello there, everybody. It is Tuesday night and time for me to start a game I've been looking forward to a good amount. I know it's been a while since I streamed, but I had to take a kind of prolonged break for reasons I'll probably end up getting into later. And I will make sure. Hello, VFig. Good to see you again. I'm sure that I'm going to guess that you have been playing this yourself since it came out. Oh, you have not yet had a chance to play it. Interesting. Well, hopefully you enjoy it once you do. As somebody who got I was going to say got into. I'm not sure that's quite right. I have played Pathologic 2. I love Pathologic 2 a lot. I never played Pathologic 1. I don't think I really intend to play Pathologic 1. And I'm actually I'm very interested in how I end up feeling about this game. Having played the I was going to say the demo, part of the demo. It crashed on me partway through, and I was kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to try again. There was stuff that was really interesting in there. There was also some stuff that I found kind of more grating than I anticipated, and so we'll see how I kind of acclimate to those over time. I'll be honest, because my recollection of I assume you played the demo, right, VFig? The changes were, to some extent, I knew that one of the things that they were supposedly trying to do was to make the next game like genuinely different from the higher specs, from Pathologic 2. So not to just make it like, oh, you're playing as higher specs functionally, like you're doing the same thing, except like we're going to have you do things like different orders or visit different characters and have different missions. I remember them talking about how they wanted to make the game feel different. And so to some extent I anticipated there being a difference, but that difference in and of itself then creates this kind of friction where it's like, well, but that's not, so to speak, I fell in love with Pathologic 2, and now I have to like reacquaint myself. And I think the things I graded against were specifically some of the new stuff to manage. Which there may be, because obviously in Pathologic 2 it's a lot of like you're managing time and hunger and sleep and health and resources and the plague and all these things. So like there's a lot you're juggling, and so that in and of itself, having to manage those whole things and that sense of like, oh, you may not really be able to manage all of them successfully, at least not your first time around, is not the issue so much as like, oh, here's this new thing to manage, and like it's not. I think the thing I found sort of abrasive was just that like it didn't feel kind of intuitive, like, hunger, time, sleep, etc. all felt kind of intuitive about how they like work and how I manage them. And it's just like, it was the oppressive nature of it. Whereas the new thing was like, okay, hang on, like, what am I doing with this? How do these really like work? So it's a kind of mechanical thing of like, I'm sure there must be a logic. There must be like a way I can figure this out. But that learning process is like given like kind of like an intervening film that I then have to like break through. And that breakthrough was like, I don't know, I guess one way you could put it is like, I felt like I shouldn't have to do that. It should be something that is intuitive, but that I still have to like struggle to manage as opposed to struggling to learn what it is so that I can manage it. If I it's hard to put into words. I think in part I don't fully know. I think one of the issues is that the limited time I gave it meant that I didn't have a real opportunity to figure out what it was that kind of was rubbing me the wrong way. And like I said earlier, it also didn't give me the opportunity to kind of like learn and figure things out. And admittedly, I kind of decided like when the demo crashed on me, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get Pathologic 3 anyways. It's going to be an interesting game no matter what. So I'm going to play it. I may as well learn then. And and that way I'll have like a better sense. So it might give me a better like opportunity to figure out how things work. It then gives me sort of a better opportunity to kind of like experiment with things. So I think, and that's kind of one of the reasons I tend to avoid demos. Yeah, I think that was kind of like, well, what are these really doing? I remember that one of the things I was kind of running into in the demo was the kind of the struggle of maintaining those, because it's this very weird thing of, as I think we'll see later, unless they changed it, but I don't think they did, of like that meter like constantly draining, but you don't want it like too high, so you can't treat it, like you said, like your bodily needs, where it's like, oh, you can just eat until you're full and then you can let it drain and then you can just eat until you're full again. You have to kind of like constantly manage it. And then of course all the stuff that got in the way. So I think one of the problems that like started irking me, so there's a section in the demo where you're first introduced to that meter, and you have to transition between two districts, and you're kind of introduced, well, not really introduced, but like you're given an opportunity to like, we have to go through this district where there are all these thugs, these looters, who will of course attack you on sight, and you have a pistol, but if you use the pistol, then it like spikes your meter, I think, towards apathy, which means that, and if it spikes like too hard, you just like lose, which is basically don't do that, don't kill people. Which is then going to like kind of push in different ways than like Pathologic 2, where it's like, hey, if you can like figure out a way to effectively kill these people, it's like a bank. So I think it's pushing in that direction. of being kind of more pacifist and like trying to avoid conflict, which is its own thing to kind of deal with. But it was that like, wait, what the heck is going on? Like I like shot this guy and then I died. Like what was there somebody behind me who like, it's like that realization of what was happening was like, oh, it took so long to figure out how these things were interacting with one another that I was like, okay, this feels like a little irksome. But it, again, sat with that feeling and it's like, okay, this is what's actually going on. This is what it means. It's like I kind of like chew on that feeling and can kind of then spit it out, and say like, okay, that's not a problem. It's just me needing to like settle with stuff. So that's part of why I've been looking forward to this, to like getting the game proper, is that I think it will give me a better opportunity to chew over things that at first I was like not really exactly. That's the exact idea. So let's go ahead and get started here.
I'm Daniel Dankovsky, Bachelor of Medicine. All my life I have been studying death, the greatest boundary holding humanity back. The powers that be were frightened of my search. My lab in the capital was about to be closed. But it cannot be denied that some phenomena might be found only in the strangest, most remote parts of our country. Little towns that are yet to be explored by forward-thinking minds. People accept the supposed imminence of death way too easily.
Actually, am I able to
We follow our life's path to it, like cattle to the slaughter. But we shouldn't. My search for immortality has brought me rumors of one, Simon Kane, a supposedly immortal man living in one such town. He might be just the proof all my theories need. The final patient. I need to find him, or else all my life's work is doomed.
Yeah, I actually went to the options and was like, oh, I should make sure to enable subtitles. And I thought like I must have missed it somewhere. Text. Where? Because I was like, I was like, I must have... That okay. I'm glad I didn't like actually miss it. I literally like I went through, it was like, okay, display, what's on our display, graphics, okay, this is all like actual like graphic stuff, so like it's not going to be here. Audio, what's on our audio, other, I don't see it here. Oh, maybe they just like naturally always have subtitles, or it'll be an option when I start up or something. So I'm glad at the very least, like when you asked about it, like my first thought was like, where was it? Because yes, no, I think like, especially for a game like this, I think it would be really helpful to have subtitles. Okay. So we got our mind map. Calamity can still be prevented. Interesting. So they already have their, which ends more abruptly than the rest. They already have their day description names, if whatever you want to call it. We have the only main thread that may lead to Simon Kane, which is not the end yet. Bachelor to remember his close ones. Falsely considers interesting. which the bachelor performs his occupational duties. Hospital slows down. Pathological theses are being practically proven, which could be the first day depending on the perspective. Huh. So a living, breathing person stepping off our train. That, okay, doesn't answer the question. Was the music constantly that? I'd probably need to like listen to it again to like notice it. It was a little like, I don't know, the mixing felt just a little bit off. But I don't think I'd be able to identify it just based off of like the memory. Like I think I'll have to watch the opening cutscene again at some point. You see, always take 20 trunks of shirts. Okay. Hands off the kids. Fresh off train, new in town. Heed our customs. No constable patrolman will chase after children for you. Kids have their own thing going. Own empire. The tower would simply break them, which I assume means the polyhedron. Need your shirt so badly. Why don't you go looking for the tots that ran away with them? Just ask them nicely. Kids like magpies trade your precious lens for the capital in exchange for bits of colored glass. Okay, that feels like a pretty doctor thing to say. Canes came from the capital, made our town. No other real have come from there ever since. Okay. Take a step back for a moment. Oh, right. I completely forgot about this. That was interesting. Did I miss? So, concentration. Some thoughts will affect... There we go. Okay, so some thoughts will affect your mental state. That was what was going on. Guy like fish, worse than stealing morphine. Huh. Yeah. Absolutely gonna take a bug. Oh, wait a minute. I think I saw... So if I... Yep, okay. Mania goes up. Right. Your hands are shaking. You got some those crazy eyes. I I'm curious actually if this kid's reaction to you is different depending on your mania and apathy. Because obviously, like I just got the message that mania is starting to like peak, and I need to watch it. I think it might. Okay, it does. It's hard for me to talk when people think I'm too apathetic or manic. Stabilize my condition. Nervous tension makes me quicker. Well, I don't have a sedative. Interesting. I wonder if... So those things were glowing red and they triggered mania. So I wonder if... I mean, these are white, I think does nothing. So is there like... something for... Interesting. What? Did I miss? Can I talk to you? No. Okay, won't distract them. Put the glass oh, loot. Here we go. That's what I was missing. Okay. So this... I think this is what I'm looking for.
The cinematograph stops.
So at what point... No, that's still too much. Oh, huh. Okay, well there's more.
I can't take it anymore.
That's gotta be enough, right? Yep. Dead already. Dead heart keeps beating for 40 days, what Mom says. Haven't been dead that long. It won't fit in there. Stuck in the belly, not the mouth. Life's in the belly. Locum's mice in front of the driver. Heart should be 2. That's what Boulder told me. You killed the other trains. Wondering, we didn't know why they kept dying. We got a whole graveyard. They're all rusted up. Can't go anywhere. All because of you. You stole the train's heart for yourself and carried away a suitcase. Now the train's all dead. Train's heart in the front. I rode in the carriage in the middle. How did I get the heart then? Okay. Uh... It was every 2 weeks. Now it's every 2 months or less. Because of the war. They don't love us anymore. But we heal this one, they'll love us again. They'll come back and bring meringues. So we go.
Vita nostra brevis est, brevi finietur.
Hold this crank, turn it clockwise. Crank is stiff, you have to use some force. Gas leak, what did you call me in here for? What we have to do is load that prototype you're fiddling with and use to get into the morgue. One Rosa dead in there. It will be... I think we'll recreate Rosa she dies again. Collecting tissues, samples. Sitting up on the gurney, stiff as a poker, rasps on her throat. Smell the gas, pull the alarm lever. Experiment the prototype meant to dissipate tuberculosis miasma. Consumption Task Force. Dispersant aerosol of disinfectant. First, you load the prototype, bottles of solution in the beige cabinet. Best set it on the table while you load it. You can't do it while you're holding it. Wind it up, prime it, hold the crank, turn it clockwise. Wind up the crank, then release. Gas should dissipate theoretically. Wind, release, dissipate. Chlorine will keep coming while our supply solution is finite. Santa Gertie, opposite end of the morgue. Clear some miasma in front of it. Stimulant, anesthetic, and a toxin. Okay. Load the prototype. Simulant anesthetic toxin. Put them in the slots, press the load button. Hold the charge, release when the pendulum stops. Can I actually just... Oh yeah, I can just pre-charge it. Death, you have Death's Eyes. At the end of the tunnel, there's a second tunnel. Spin's all boring, clockwise only. Grandpa Simon has clocks that spin every which way. Cat and old hat. Dog's heads must have taken it. Khan and Notkin got a deal. All the war spells get split down in the middle. They don't care about hearts, not in any... of their many face. They don't care about hearts, not in any of their many faces. Capella hates classicopes. Khan wouldn't get into everyone, not before he looks at himself, or after either. You get back to the owner. If I'm in town, he'll deal fair. So where can I find Khan? Brought your microclascope into polyhedron, you won't see it again. Stairways to Heaven. Dogs' heads like them think they look like polyhedron. This one right here in the maw. Okay. Sturk, Kirik, and Bertrand. The Ripper slashing ribbons. I was wondering, because we had 3 guys who were dead, if that would be Burak. I certainly didn't remember off the top of my head the names of the 3 guys. I feel like I'm trying to remember if they give you their names. I feel like they at least you get the name of one of them. So theoretically, I could have recognized it. Marashab knocked away with him in the step and whispered things in his ear to make him water the earth with blood. Went on his murder spree. He killed Sturk, killed Kirik, he killed the harmless birdie. Okay. Kirik is probably the one that felt the most familiar. Got it. Okay. The freight train to the back door like a thief in the night. What's in a coffin? Interesting. Okay. Doesn't one of them have what, like, the name slip? Um, I'm trying to remember. Like, I feel like one of them, uh, uh, gets referenced in some way later on, aside from the meeting them again, so to speak. Um, but it's been long enough that I remember, like, the core, but not a lot of the, like, key, those, like, well, not key, the details. Swak sings of a fierceness, sharpness inside the one you call Kirik. Give his body to me. He is dead to you anyway. You will bury him. He will rot until nothing is left. I will bury him. Swak will eat him and drink his savagery and his sting and sing. Interesting. Oh, I just noticed this guy is just called Pawn. She'll give us Ashen Swish, the harsh of the herbs. Ashen Swish is a cruel herb, bad herb. It thrives on blood and spites. Yeah, I was thinking at like not too long ago playing Pathologic 2 again. I was not going to try and do another run of see if I can save save everybody who can be saved. I think doing that once was enough. But I think because I wasn't going to do that, I didn't know what I was really going to do aside from just play it again, and so I think that was why I didn't do it. But it feels like something that'd be fun to do at some point because it is still such an interesting game. Yours is buried into emptiness. Mine will be buried into Swak's womb. She would give her the body. Should we give her the body? Didn't seem to have any family without them in the picture. They're just going to bury him. The dust crate him until not even Shabnat can recognize what's left. So that's what you're going to do, isn't it? Isn't it, Step Girl? No desecration. We'll take his name so it holds his sharpness no longer, and we will lower him into Swak's womb. Forget the wicked murderer Kirik, and only Ashen Swish will remain. He really was a wicked man. Rare times someone remembers him at all. They never have anything good to say. Touch our eyes, touch our fingers, name melts away. The one they used to call Kirik will become a gift to us folk instead. You'll have no graves, will be no man, the memory of the people. That's an interesting kind of set of reasonings right there. I'm kind of inclined to go with this one because I feel like Dankovsky cannot pass up an opportunity to use Latin. Pretty poor. I'd probably do. I literally would probably do better if it was Greek. Great death, the likes of which has never been seen. Today will be a fearsome day. Tomorrow even more so. Third day, fear itself will die. Without ash and swish, we will all die too. Okay.
That's the...
Red boots. Let's leave the Shabnak. Huh.
Neither above nor
Oh, hey,
below
bad
the
grief.
ground can heaven or hell be found.
Customer shops appointment only. Fashionista. A giant bird was nesting by the train. Plenty of shops in town, but our warehouse keeper here can get it for you wholesale. From a coffin. Huh. When someone goes in, who knows what? Town lives on imports, so here the warehouse keeper is king. He says the contents are always not always what they seem. So I wonder if that is supposed to mean that there will be coffins that I can check out, and I feel like checking out coffins is going to
Could use some quiet.
Yeah, who knows how much cool stuff could be in any of those. This I remember being one of the things that was interesting was like Pathologic 2 felt so very like open, and at least the demo of 3 was, I mean, it was a demo, so obviously you're probably going to be somewhat constrained, but like it felt so very closed. I am curious because I feel like one of the things they may be doing is that rather than 2 being a kind of like really open game where it's like you have so much stuff to do and basically you have too much stuff to do, how do you like prioritize and do what you can, whereas this feels like it at least seemed like, you know, very limited information to go off of right now. Seen more of a it's more about like making decisions kind of like in the moment, if you will. Maybe that's not the right way to put it. I mean, because obviously it's in a way that's still kind of the, you know, just redescribing Pathologic 2. It's just making decisions in a different scope. It's like making decisions in terms of like, I guess you say like that then have downstream effects that you like maybe you're not even aware of. And trying to like juggle all of those like downstream effects and like maybe anticipate them. So it's, I guess you could think it's like more future oriented, which means then the kind of exploration of Pathologic 2 seemed to be kind of like limited. Like I'm thinking in part of like the fact that like traveling to, you know, districts rather than being a kind of like, oh, I need to physically go from point A to point B, turned into a like, oh, the districts are kind of like separate areas, and you go from you like literally transition from one to another, and like traveling from one to another was like going through a map of like, okay, where do you want to go? I want to go here. Okay, we'll take you to this district, and if something happens along the way, you'll have to like do it yourself, but otherwise like we're gonna cut out the kind of middleman of the travel. But I was thinking of like, you know, thinking about like Pathologic 2 where you know, setting aside admittedly your conversation with you know, the literal tutorial stuff, which I probably am still in. You know, once you like get off the train and you know, the thing of like Burak killing the 3 guys who attack him, it's like it's still pretty open. Like you can still do a whole lot of stuff. Obviously you get kind of pushed pretty quickly back. It kind of railroads you into a specific place, and then opens back up. But there's a lot of like, there's still a lot of choices you get to make within that during that time period, and including like, I'm just gonna like not engage with the game as or at least try to not engage the game as presented. I think there's literal limits to what you can do there. Trying to bust Turok. Well, Turok is dead. Father all katana, people in bowls. Tonight it stopped beating. Well, I mean, uh, Bostock is like the I almost want to say like the World Bowl, isn't he? Um, I mean, maybe not world per se, but like he is kind of like the embodiment of the earth. It's the earth itself, at least like that the town exists on. Um, cause now I think about it, the idea again, I'm thinking from Pathologic 2 because that's the only way I know, but isn't the idea that the polyhedron has well, not has, it's is like dangerously close to Bostock's heart. Like it's since it's of course it's stabbing into the earth, and you get the kind of like, you know, going through those like kind of giant like arteries. So it's actually kind of like, because yeah, the idea would then be, you would think that would mean Bostock is still alive in Pathologic 2 and just in danger, but then if he's dead, but it's a death in which, at least they are saying, it's a death that he's chosen. A fang or a claw with oh, rust is soaked into him. Can die only from gloom. Bring the last arcs to his bosom, then he'll remember us and return to us. Heart was beating here, not far off. Bodo is a blind living by the warmth of the earth, but Bostock not only bore us, he watched over us, lived under his watch. Now town is without a beholder. Human is meant to see, to build. Oh, you mean the like some like the beholder stuff? I didn't make a connection. Or yeah, because wait, did I misread that? Because it's like without a beholder, but now referring to Dankovsky as beholder. Maybe I yeah, no, there we go. Pierced with a stake. Okay, so because I don't think you get much about Simon Kane's death in Pathologic 2, that would make more sense. What the? Oh. I literally did not, like, I clocked it like the last second what was going on. My eyes touch you, beholder. That was tomorrow. That will be yesterday. I mean, I guess that's true. Yes. Thank you for your vision. You see more widely than others. Oh, I gotta see this. One moment. Huh. Interesting. That's pretty good painting. You see what? If you see something else unexpected, don't be afraid. It's just the eyes adjusting to our current place in time. Terry non tant panem sed aperiant mundum. Trying to think of. There's a couple words I recognize, but I don't think I have enough to like kind of get at a generalized meaning. But again, I mean, what you say basically does not matter. So, nope. Huh. Oh, yeah. There we go. What was it? Said aperiant mundum? Something close to that. Oh.
Art is iterative. It repeats itself and just can't shut up.
Here, finally, forgotten our agreements. Memorize your lines. Okay, so we're I always have 2 or 3 lines ready in my mind. I choose one before responding. Okay, words that provide bread, they reveal the world. Got it. I recognized words and I recognized world. And I got the non, but the Apirir and I should have probably been able to recognize Panant, but it didn't. The wires did not connect. I'm I love the ability to like lean into the whole like, yeah, this is a performance. We both know it's a performance. Like, can we take no joy in seeing another player who likes to improvise? Your charge is but to read your lines and not invent them. Is this really the guy? That's not the same, but the outfit's all wrong. Did our guy wear a coat? Costume's more suited to an antagonist. Guest from the capital. Never have I seen such arrogance all in one person. Just what the doctor ordered. Mark Martel, director of the local theater. Pleased to meet you. You see the actor we've been waiting for, an attorney for, has decided to sabotage the rehearsal. He would do us a massive favor by replacing him, even if just for a little while. Ancient mysteries. Hercules symbolizes the doom of all things. He acts as a dark omen, complete with a plague doctor's beak. Performance is quite simple. The main character has just arrived in the remote town, quite accidentally stumbled into a curious rehearsal in which his fate will be decided. Okay, hang on. I just want to see. Is that all that you have to say? Why do you stare like that? I see it in his eyes. His mind is looking for a line to... No, it's not. Double check. His mind is looking for a line to... Yeah, no, that's 11 at the end. Because like those line breaks feel like, you know, there's something weird going on. Oh, really? Because, yeah, I'd have to go back, but I wonder if it is actually supposed to be iambic pentameter. Okay, let's see again. I say again, he is no leading man. He is unfit to even play a villain. Did I count that? At best, a background player, a body. I mean, I feel like we've got to be going for iambic pentameter. Although standing there to fill the stage is only 7. So I guess we're not like perfectly consistent if we are. I mean, it's probably not meant to be like perfect iambic pentameter. It's probably just meant to, one, give the sense of like the reading of lines, and obviously tragedy, and like kind of The step-healer's son who ought to take the role, or that young girl who crawled out of her grave. Clara, the changeling, because she starts in a grave, doesn't she? Such pathos and such verve. Well, this doesn't have a coat. Hero's lost. He no longer sees the boundary between his life and the play. Didn't speak in reading lines. Blur between reality and fiction. And that is kind of the beating heart of a lot of it. Read the script. So, the main character, a doctor and a skeptic, encounters the unknown for the first time. He built his whole life around empiricism and scientific inquiry. What do we do when address him directly? Oh. So, those are... So that's actually interesting then, because this is what kind of always makes this like, you know, this is all an act kind of fascinating because of how layered they make it. So you've got, we're reading lines, you're a character, are you part of this or not? And then you've got the plague doctor, the executor, potentially reading lines, like, okay, like, let's get started on this. So it seems like they're both doing their parts, and so you get the tragedian doing what looks like play, like the reading of lines from a play, recitation of lines from a play. But the executor's lines do not have that same structure. And then the executor says, let me read the script, and then does not have the structure. And then you say something, and a tragedian breaks out of the recitation, which is like, so then is this no longer a line within the false play? Of course. And of course it is. This is all still existing within, we know, the game. This was all written. These are all lines. These are all pre-written to be responses to your own responses and stuff like that. And so, like, the layers of, like, all of that and like, wait, what is the play? And you know, you go back to the whole Mark saying, you know, the beating heart of this is the blurring of fiction and reality. And of course, for acting, is all a game. You're free to go. Remember, the game doesn't end until I say so. I think I get that sentiment. I think the calling attention to it is in and of itself the point. Because I think you could absolutely do something like that where the tragedian is doing lines, but you don't realize, like, reading, classical play lines, but you don't realize it. But I think that is meant to be like, wait, because you get that response right there of like, wait, are you still doing lines, or is this actually you? To which Mark then says like, hey, well, that's a line too. So it's again, that like blurring of, which is it? Was the tragedy in reading lines? I guess pun intended. Were the sort of poetic lines, the play lines, themselves actually play lines? What about the kind of like, I'm out of here, I don't want to be a metaphor, and then even Mark and stuff like that. So it's like it's all part of the play, and yet even if you try to like reject the play, but then by that same token, if you are and are not part of the play, then what is the play and what is really not the play? I think because like one of the things I kind of find fascinating about, I guess one of the like themes we want to call it that, in video games, it's that some explorers like that boundary between fiction and reality, not in the sense of like, ooh, what's real and what's not, but more in the sense of like our connection to the story and the world within it. Like, the idea that even if we recognize on whatever level that we are seeing a piece of media or a piece of art and recognize it as something created, something that is not, so to speak, real, that the characters and the drama and stuff like that is not real, that we have the opportunity to have a connection with it on a level that, to put it one way, it feels real to us, that we care about this character, we if we can save so and so, we want to save them. We take actions. We will sometimes sacrifice certain things of in our playthrough, if you will, or whatever it is, in order to like make it occur. And so the ability to have that connection is interesting. And so games that kind of explore that kind of like, well, if you can develop that connection, then that connection in itself kind of makes the object of the connection real in some capacity. And I don't know, I feel like Pathologic 2 and even something like this does a good job of like kind of inviting those questions of like, well, sure, this is all fake to a degree, like we all recognize it's fake, but also why, I guess you say, why does that fakeness matter, or does that fakeness matter? And I'm at least aware of the endings in Pathologic 1 about the powers that be, and stuff like that, of like, oh, the world is actually this. Oh wait, the world was, no, like you have a chance to talk to the actual like talk to, so to speak, the developers of the game, and stuff like that. And again, blurring the lines between like what is the game and what is like, is this an actual conversation? Well, of course it can't be, because you're still constrained by the lines that you've been given by the game itself. But it is through that playing with you as a character, and it kind of like invites you to think about all of those connections, like what is that fourth wall, and I guess in a way, can you reach through it? Yeah, exactly. But like that's why I love the sort of play part of Pathologic 2. But it's why I love, like, I think Mark Immortel kind of the most interesting character, just because of what he does with all of that. Like he is I feel like a very explicit way of trying to tap into that question or series of questions. So mission director, certainly we chosen right. We got the right guy. Real drama, clear state. The hero must experience death and resurrection. He's stuck in the prologue. Admittedly, I am stuck in the prologue. I've been here for an hour and a half. I've barely gotten anywhere. Like the pace of their slip. Not my opinion, understand, but the audience attention is starting to flag. Okay, so there's one of our stairways. Interesting. If you could travel through time, would you go to the future or the past? Yeah. I mean, you could also, in a way, like, because of the way I don't know yet how Pathologic 3 is going to handle death, but obviously by the way that Pathologic 2 does, where you die and loading back creates a permanent change, and I mean, how, like, technically speaking, the way it's framed is like, well, when one Barak dies, like another one takes his place. There is that kind of like dying and resurrecting with it's a literal mechanic of dying and reloading your last save. And so it'd actually be curious if they kind of do something similar here. I could see them trying to do that. We'll find out at some point. I'm sure I'll die a number of times before we're done with this game. Days are like hopscotch. Usually they go one after another. Sometimes there's two side by side, and sometimes you have to jump backwards. Only grown up who gets games. Everyone thinks they're just silly things for kids, just running around scoring a point. Knows how games should be. How should games be? Yeah. Gave it to Phil. He's over there on the stairway. How do they stand without support? Yeah. You see the future. Take one look and I'll get back a bunch of bugs and little hairs. Animal might see further. Maybe that is the future. Glass like this shows the future when you look through it. Everyone knows that. Love making all sorts of things with glass. I've only seen thingamajigs like this at his place. Why did you steal from Grandpa Simon? Doesn't know. What did you do to Simon? It was you, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Just give him back the thingamajig and let him go on his merry way. Can't see any future at all. What doesn't take effort doesn't deserve effort. Okay. So we get our bartering system in the barter slot. If I want something, I give something in return. Oh, that's an that's a weird way to do it. And also it's so just a mechanical thing. So I can use the like control stick, D-pad, etc. to navigate within the menu, but I need to press the shoulder buttons to transition to the different, to this, to here, and back to my inventory, which A is a little like unintuitive. Like usually you'd expect to be like, oh, if I just hit left it will take me here, if I hit right it will take me here, etc. And then second is that's not shown on the you've got these controls at the bottom. Yeah, no, I think it would be fine if it's a shortcut like you said. But the fact that you have to do it, and the fact that you're not told to do it, like the Lily is just like, well, it's not working, like I guess I just press buttons until I can do it. That's interesting. Huh. I'm sorry, what? Oh, I guess it's not like an actual like inventory item. But I don't have to give away the watch.
Why do they continue to normalize death?
hollow longer. Even after inhalation therapy, the swelling won't go down immediately. Body matching description was declared dead last night. So it's early on duty, showed no signs of life. Platon himself was there when she woke up. Such as had trouble speaking, weakened her voice, rinsed her mucous membranes, and performed inhalation therapy, but you understand I can't conduct an extensive interview. I had a chance to go through them myself. Left them on the table in the by the back entrance. Died tunnel after tunnel. Disease affects various bodily systems. Microscope helps identify which organ is infected. Your samples are placed on glass slides and ensures that slides are sufficiently supplied. Next. Wait, what? Okay, that was a little, like, weird. Say collect the samples under the microscope. Need reagents. Doctor themselves is in charge of their supply. Adjusting magnification. Find the red bacteria in the sample. I mean, I see it. It's right there. Ah, there we go. That's why it wasn't properly in focus. Okay, need to look through things. Papers, morphine, herbs. Let's focus on the herbs. Consent form for Right. This part I recall. So, wait. Use R to... There we go. That's why. Skin here is seriously damaged. So we've got, what was it? Arms? Nope, dang it. That's bruising for repeated injections. Those are clean. Legs. Seriously damaged. No. Back. Oops. Late-stage leukemia, injection marks on her body.
Need to do the reverse transcriptase test again. Pretty sure we missed the heat mark in the 4th series.
So I think, I mean, obviously I think the thrust is for all these is like, no, this isn't like a genuine case of somebody coming back from the dead. It feels like this is also kind of like that one of those like interesting aspects of like the dialogue in Pathologic 2, and also it feels like in this game is like, to some extent it kind of often feels like what you say doesn't matter. To be fair, I kind of meant in a mechanical way. Because that is true. Like the version of Dankovsky, or the and again, that doesn't really go back to the whole the line between you and the game, about you making the connection with the game, and that making it kind of real. I find it interesting more because the fact that on a mechanical level it tends to not do anything kind of gives this sense of like the like the world, you know, the world of the game kind of not I mean, what I think the way I think about it is like in so many games, the you know, it feels like everything revolves around what you and your character are doing, and like the focus is put on you, and you like it is you are the sort of the like shining center of everything, and in you know, the dialogue, and I assume this was probably true in Pathologic 1 as well. You know, the dialogue in the sense of like, you know, you can say a thing and like the line kind of doesn't really change in any substantive way if it changes at all. And the thrust of the conversation kind of end up being like, the world exists and like you are not like the moving force behind the world. B, may not even really matter to the world. And I think kind of C, you kind of have to figure out like what you're going to do with the fact that the game's not going to like, you know, bend over backwards to sort of cater to like you exactly, and make you know, grant this kind of importance to every little thing that you do. So I certainly don't say it to like say that this is like a problem. It's just like it's something that I kind of like, by virtue of the fact that I kind of in some way know that on a mechanical level so much, I mean, you know, so much seems to like not, so to speak, matter. It kind of like, I'm like hyper aware of it. And that in and of itself kind of paints my choices. So it's like, you know, I said earlier, like, oh, you know, it's like, well, I feel like, you know, Dankovsky would be the kind of dude who would like, you know, never pass up a chance to spit out some Latin, and like using that as a metric for like how I choose a particular line, is kind of like, I guess, one of the many ways in which you can choose to play the game. And it kind of allows you to do that without kind of like then punishing you, I guess is the way I could put it. But I, you know, it's, again, I'm just sort of like looking at that, and it's like, okay, you know, I'm you know, already I start by like, cause usually like I'm a very like mechanics oriented person. I'm thinking about like, okay, you know, I'm being given these options, like, you know, what's the like answer? Like, you know, okay, we're given like, investigate this, like what happened, like put together like these, like, you know, you're looking at these belongings, you're examining this patient and stuff like that. And, you know, it feels like on one level it's meant to be, we're teaching you how to play a game and how to like try and like investigate stuff. But it is teaching you how to like go through the motions of it, but it's not teaching you how to think about it, because like you can arrive at any number of conclusions, and the conclusion itself doesn't matter, because they all lead to the same result, which is like this isn't a real case of revival. And I think that the only reason I'm like kind of like thinking about it, or it like hits me in the way that I then feel the like that impulse to bring it up is that, to some extent, or what I anticipate to some extent, is that later on, those kinds of conclusions will actually be relevant for a specific purpose. That is, you will encounter somebody who's sick, because they did do this in the demo. Like, you encounter somebody who's sick, you look through, you gather what evidence you can and examine things, and then you diagnose them. And by diagnosing them correctly, you can give them the right kind of medicine. So that will matter on a mechanical level later, but by the fact that it doesn't matter now, it, I don't know, I guess gives this sense of like, oh, you don't really have to care that much. Yeah, no, and that I feel like is going to be the interesting thing, because like, you know, you had I don't know about Pathologic 1. Pathologic 2 didn't have a ton of that kind of like I'm trying to think about what stuff had mechanical effects for making particular dialogue choices. There were for like certain like things you do and do not do, those might have knock-on effects later, but I get kind of like the sense based on what I played in the demo, and especially like the there's a very clear like fixation on time and seeing the future and going back to the past, of like the ability to change things, which then gives a stronger ability to handle or deal with that kind of mechanical, you know, a thing you say, a thing you do will have effects, even not immediate effects, but further reaching effects. And what do you do with that? And I would wager, you know, that one of the things that's probably going to end up happening is, doing this thing is going to affect like 5 other things, and you may not realize that it has that kind of like downstream effect. You then like say like, oh, this thing didn't go right, I'm going to try and go back and undo it, and like may trace out, you know, the pathways that like prevent it, and making that one go right causes like another thing to go wrong. And so either A, you are kind of like searching for like, you know, getting trapped in like trying to find the exact correct path to like let everything go right, or B, there is no path and you must deal with the like making the decision of like, something has to go wrong. Which one are you going to, you know, choose to have it be? A kind of, you know, trolley problem in some way. And that, and which actually is then, you know, in a way is kind of like what you end up doing with, you know, something like Pathologic 2. And maybe I think some of the stuff I've seen about Pathologic 1, I think is probably also kind of gets echoed there. But it's actually, if that were the way it goes, it would be really interesting, because it kind of turns that like idea of like, I need to have everything go right, kind of on its head. Because there's one thing when it's like, oh, if you just did things right, you know, or like even just that hint of like, if you just did things right, you could have the perfect world. But like, kind of if they were to force you to like slowly hit that realization of like, oh no, I'm like trying to undo things, and by undoing things I'm making new bad things happen, and by trying to undo those I make different bad things happen, and there's no way out of this, and now I have to push forward with the realization that there is no actual perfect answer, and I have to, I may like all of these characters, I want to try and do these things, and I can't. And that kind of like oppression, if you will. Again, this is me like massive shot in the dark. That could be the way it goes. Like, I have only the teeniest tiny bits of information to work off of right now. So it could go in different ways. Like, maybe it won't be that robust. Maybe there is a kind of like perfect path that was designed, or that you can kind of like force things to be perfect, a la messing with time and the kind of odds that I did in Pathologic 2. But I do think even just that possibility would be really interesting, and the kind of like the knowledge of like what could be is tantalizing. Doesn't show future, doesn't erase the dead.
Enough. Why are you drowning me in details, Bachelor? Street kids stealing your microscope is an amusing anecdote, but it's not the crime we sat down to discuss 2 hours ago.
Huh. Inspector of the Special Committee. Sent to investigate the case of my criminal negligence. Supposedly, I didn't save a town in the east of our country where plague broke out. Didn't even try, apparently. Led me into a trap. His folder is full of intentionally false data. He's not interested in the truth, rather in the downfall of Dasher Dankovsky. He's my enemy.
If only problems would resolve themselves,
Beginning doesn't interest me, a continuously ending. The result, the finale. As your backstory, your genesis. Yep. And of course the like, I mean, I guess I wonder if the timeline actually works out, because of course, looking at that mind map, you had day 12, which could, what was it? Which could be seen as the first day. So I wonder if this is itself like day 12, like, okay, we just got out. And now we're already being interrogated. Like, I don't know if that's what, like, that timeline feels a little truncated, but it feels like what it might be. I guess you could also think of it as like, that's when, you could think of it instead, if that's not the case, of like, it is the end of the town, and by being the end of the town, it's the beginning of like this battle that Dankovsky's going through, and so like from a different perspective, that's the real beginning of everything. Jenny, actually, Jess, Ministerial inspection of your lab, Fnatica, began in early September. Presence was required at all times. City dash off cross country to a backward town to bring back what you might describe to. What? Important part is that you fled from the investigation, and this town had an outbreak of some fever the scientific community had no knowledge of. Only medical professional. Third day, town leaders gathered in a town hall to form an emergency command to fight the epidemic. So I'm feeling you have kind of oath and lead the fight against plague. You're engaged in. So, kind of reading that last line, don't look at the tail, my eyes are up here. Kind of reminded me of something because I, background philosophy and one of my favorites to read was Platonic philosophy. So dialogues of Plato. The dialogues of Plato are all, these kind of like, in a sense, plays. So, because they're all these constructed conversations between usually Plato's mentor Socrates and, whether it's a stranger or a friend or whoever it might be. And there's these different layers of like, some of those dialogues are, I'm trying to remember how they're described, performed dialogues, I believe, where it's like they're written in such a way that it's kind of like a play, where it's like Socrates has this line, and then his interlocutor has this line, and then it goes back and forth. So, and there's no middle in there. There's no narration. And then there's the narrated dialogues where you have that, like, this guy said this, and then I said this, and then this guy responded this way. And one of the things that happens in the performed dialogues is that because you obviously cannot see the characters, because A, they're constructed, B, they're in a book, and since there's no kind of narration to say, like, and then this guy did this, when somebody is supposed to be like ashamed or kind of hesitant to speak, it gets called out in the dialogue itself. Usually it'll be something like Socrates will like ask a question, and then he'll say, like, why aren't you answering? What's the issue? Because it brings attention to a pause that would not be relevant if, or would not be noticed if you were just reading. And so, like, that line there, like, don't look at the table, my eyes are up here. Of course, the game itself is constantly having us look at the inspector's face. And so that sense of, like, what is Dankovsky, the character, doing? And, like, sort of his sort of emotions and reactions to this stuff, is something that we don't get to see, because that's not how the conversation mechanic works. So don't really have like a big meaning to derive from that. It's just sort of like something interesting that I kind of like thought about from that. Fourth day, town lost its water supply. They required a hospital with one who could set it up. came the evening of the fourth day. The doctor from the capital attempted to flee the dying town on a cargo train like a rat. Caught and jailed. And so one of the interesting things here, again, we're going back to the thing about time, is, well, they are announcing what's going to happen. And so by announcing it, and this goes back to Pathologic 2, maybe Pathologic 1, I don't know, but definitely Pathologic 2 is, because Pathologic 2 begins with, you have failed. The town is like ridden with plague. Everything is going to hell. And like you, so to speak, it's all your fault. Like, not literally, but like they're basically trying to figure out, like, when do they start just like firing artillery shells at the town? And so, the idea then is, my job, and of course they the whole, like, shall we do another one, is the sense of like, like, look, this is all just going to happen again. Like, why do you even bother trying? And of course, like, your kind of motivation as a player is, okay, I'm gonna fix this. I can fix this. And so that is, I think, very clearly what they're trying to do here. And so what I'm curious about is the extent to which you can fix this. Like, is there a way in which I can not be in a jail cell on days 4 and 5? Is there a way in which I can help build the hospital early? Maybe not. Maybe there's, the game will railroad me in certain ways. Maybe there is, at which point it's like, like, so this is all like bad information. And it, it definitely then is like the inspector's, kind of just out to get you, and it doesn't really matter what you do. Ooh. It happens. Wasn't this in the demo? I think it was. Mystery of immortality and death. That's the most important thing that happened in this little town to me. Can't really just relate it to you. Turns out ourselves on the details. Yeah, it may not have been that exact line, but I feel like I remember that switch. You will recount everything in whatever order I tell you. On the 6th day, the plague destroyed the town. So if you would be so kind, explain to me what you're doing on the 5th day. Because that's interesting. On the 6th day, the plague destroyed the town. But it couldn't have perished because I was there for 12. Yeah, no, that's fair. It would be more interesting if you could do it kind of like afterwards. Because for how like little chance you get to actually do it, it kind of doesn't. So never leaving this place. They trapped me in the Blade Town. Hold on. Oops. Okay, no. Nothing in my inventory. I was just curious because previous days on the mind map. So nothing there so far. Obviously, we got day 1. Yeah, what is the big... What was the big circle view? Nope, nope, nope. Hold on. I see what's happening. There we go. Disturbs the earth twice. Bell tolls. Ends more abruptly than the rest. Which is not the end yet. Yeah, that now like takes on meaning. Remember his close ones. Falsely considers good. Performs occupational duties. Hospitals closed down. Actually proven. Yeah, which could be the first day depending on the perspective. And of course, I don't think I'd like really noticed at the time or cognized at the time that these are arranged like a clock, which back to the whole stuff about time. This has an entrance but no exit. Right. I'll do it. I'll try again. Sapping yours all by the minute. Be like this. Yep. No, I saw that line too. splash your face with cold water. In mania, you're sharp and fierce. Apathy and indifference are constantly rising. Move faster, fight apathy by increasing mania. Yep. So if I go in... Can I not? There we go. Yeah. If I go into day 2, day 3, day 4... They're blank right now. Oh. Capella. Darth Vlad, local magnate. Local kids named Capella for ability to point out the celestial map in the night sky. Hold some inexplicable power over the town, but I dismissed it. That was a mistake.
God saves the moon from the wolves.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why they would have done that in the demo. I mean, admittedly, because you do... Where does the demo start you? Demo starts you kind of late. So it may have been from a point at which... Maybe it wasn't that late. But it probably starts you at a point at which you would have already been able to like access some previous days, and that might have been why. Mistress, future mistress, future and past are relative concepts. We're still there. Mistress of town. Sarah's the only certain why. First, I need to know one more thing. Why'd you enter our town? So I was invited with a letter. So that's because I'm trying to remember. I know that Dankowski knows of Kane, like hears about Kane and goes, but invited is interesting. Do I have a lot of options? So that's an interesting. That's also an interesting set of choices here, because we just were told about the doctor abandoning. Okay. I was wondering. I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised that was the case, because obviously you get so little about Dankowski in Pathologic 2, and what I know from Pathologic 1 is very cursory. So I know like the broad strokes, but not the finer details. But that was a detail that I had never been aware of, that that Isidore Barak specifically says like, hey, you should come check this out. But anyway, so we get our 3 dialogue choices here. We were told that we kept going after Cain even though we should have been focused on trying to cure the plague, and that we tried, admittedly these were prior days because we were arrested supposedly on the 4th day for trying to escape. So, and this is, again, it's now, inviting you to kind of think about what's going on, because we are now telling the inspector what happened. And so this conversation is taking place within Dankovsky's retelling to the inspector. And so is this, if, so to speak, when I choose something, is this what quote unquote really happens? Or is it just Dankovsky's retelling, which may be itself a rewriting of the story? Third choice in so does Dankovsky try to leave in Pathologic 1? Pathologic 1 is a side quest in town. He tries to flee the town. Oh, I do remember hearing about that. Day 2, not day 6. Yeah. Okay, so that would have then. Interesting. So that would mean, because if that side quest is there, but it's day 2, then, and it's day 4 where this supposedly happens. So you also get that kind of like retelling and reworking from yeah, exactly. Which is one of the things that has made like somewhat curious to play Pathologic 1, like not curious enough, but like is that the sense I've gotten is that Pathologic 2 and Pathologic 3 are not like mere like remakes, not we're going to just take, the individual stories from Pathologic 1 and redo them in a different way that is, one way you put it is more accessible. But they're actually doing this kind of like rewriting of these bits and pieces, and making them also in their their own stories, even if they borrow significant chunks from Pathologic 1, because like what I understand, for instance, of like, let's say Barak's quest line or storyline in Pathologic 1 is that a lot of his stuff, or at least a chunk of his stuff, is this kind of like back and forth with Foreman Oyun, that where Oyun is kind of like an antagonist, whereas in Pathologic 2, Oyun is an ally. And so it is not, it is in certain ways certainly not the same game. And so I think that's kind of like a interesting thing. And so they're doing this, I think, the same, it seems like the same thing here too. So I'm going to try and go with like, because again, it's also an interesting thing of like, day 5 is announced as like the last, what was it? The last thread of Simon Kane. Father envied Simon, and Maria Kane will always be my enemy, so there's no love lost between our families. Otherwise, Stan will suffer. 4 hours until you decide to wake up. Was the I notified the last person who saw Simon alive. His name is Stock Rubin. Because theoretically, I believe, at least again, I'm thinking now from Pathologic 2's perspective, Dankovsky should know who Rubin is, I think, by day 5. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, like, is that what day is it where you go to Rubin's house and Dankovsky's there? Yeah, that is day 1. Right, because one of the first things you're trying to do is you're trying to see Reuben and your father and oh god, what's her name? Is it Laura? And and Dankovsky's there. I can't remember why Dankovsky's there, but Laura Ravel. There we go. Thank you. I was also trying to like think what her last name was. But yeah, he's there. I can't remember why Dankovsky's there, but like he should theoretically know. Again, theoretically know. But this is also then messing with the whole, because I know that from Pathologic 1, one of the aspects of it is that basically when you're in control, things go right, but when you're not in control, people like cannot get their shit together. And so the like timelines, if you will, do not always line up properly. I think that actually, like, I guess that technically, like, from what I understand, the Changelings playthrough is like even more like messed with, because I think my understanding is like Dankovsky and Barack are then like kind of like paranoid, thinking they're each out to kill the other and in hiding from each other, which means they're not doing shit. So obviously how do you be in hiding and yet go around like, doing all this stuff to help the town? So it's like they can't be doing that. So there's like no true connection between the three, which means in turn, like you take that as like, well, theoretically, if you think just from the perspective of Pathologic 2, Dan Cosby should be aware of Barack, but no guarantee that's the way it actually works in this version of events. Hideout in the warehouses. Yep, I know that. Hideout. It's half the houses. You know what? That's a fair way to frame it.
Guests are always welcome here.
There's Sabarov, Laverne Bones, this town. Hard dry colorless compared to the other two ruling families, or the rest on them. However, pinned all this hopes on me and hate me for it. Interesting way to phrase that. He thought the star from the capital would show the Canes. Star from the capital would show the Canes no good sees how dangerous overreaching ambitions could be. Star proved to be another dreamer.
A learned man knows the contents of everything and isn't content with anything.
She didn't say on your behalf, but even if she hadn't, I wouldn't have kept you here. Just go with thanks. You committed the most heinous crime a doctor can commit. You tried to abandon your patients, flee the town, save your sorry hide. So those, again, interesting. Different ways to frame this. So the first three are... I did this, and different ways of implicitly admitting guilt. One of them going into, if I could turn back time, I wouldn't do it again, which, I know from the demo we will have some kind of ability to turn back time, although what that may really entail, I don't know yet. And then the last one, which is, I didn't do this. Board up doors and windows, play fumes are sleeping in. You and I, we have mere hours left. Case of criminals surviving the sacking of a besieged city and prison. This prison is also a fortress, but our fortress lacks food and water. I want to punish your cowardice, that much is true, but I did not want you dead. That's interesting, by the way, presumed dead. So we go back to that die and be resurrected. I did not issue that decree, nor did you, though everyone pinned their hopes on you at first. Okay, but who did issue that decree is going to be the question. Gadgets from the capital are just on arrival with you. I won't unlock the main entrance. Risk contamination of the town hall just because you're a novelty lighter. Far room. Locked already. Clear the contamination. Improve the device works. Main hall. Confiscated items are also there on the counter. No one has disturbed them. Unlock the far room. If you fail to clear my asthma, you won't be let out. Is that murderer's brother? Never mind. I thought that might have been the stranger. You have this place. Can you sign this here for me, please? Desk certificates. Bad man, wicked man, silliest. He was family. Oh, right. Kirik. Because we said that Kirik's body could be taken, which means there's only two that come back, and the Herb Bride says like his name will be wiped, and that is apparently very literal. And I can, so yeah. So there's your effects right there. And again, that's day 1 to day 5. And now the interesting question is going to be, if I say an Herb Bride took your brother's body away, what does that do? So I'm going to give that a shot. It can't be true. For a kin to take a body, someone needs to give them the permission. They have a special relationship with bodies they never take. Yeah, that's what I was trying. I could swear that one of them had a scrap name on it, but I can't remember which one it was. Oh, there's something happened. Oh, there's Vlad the Younger. Thought his father's power could be gently modernized, reformed.
A clean mouth and an honest hand will protect a man in any land.
Installation cartoon are like tools to the prick spread. Everyone's saying I acted as Isidore Barak did 5 years ago. They can think what they want, but they're remembering it wrong. My measures were not so harsh. Barak still have to play this with no chance of escape. I at least told the lawyers to keep an eye out for bonfires. She can't tolerate fire. She's either afraid of it or, in contrast, drawn to it like a moth. I found this symbolic. Already simple folk. Sarcasm are warranted. Plague feels alive even to me sometimes. By the third day, we realized the scale of the catastrophe. Town needs saving. Ready to post concrete measures. Huh. There. Interesting. Okay.
These reins chafe my hands bloody.
It's enough to traverse. Okay, so that's, I mean, I kind of already got that sense. So part of managing then your mania and apathy is certain dialogue options. And so I need to think about, like, when I say something, what's the likelihood that it, what do I need to manage? That admittedly, so we're now undoing the dialogue choices don't matter bit, but in a way that is, I'm not sure I like this way of doing things. I kind of liked more when it, like, going back to, like, mechanically did not matter, because you then could, go back to, like, I can kind of, like, revel in the kind of the play and the acting, so to speak. But now that all has to be filtered through this kind of, like, mechanic of, okay, I now need to do both A, on the one level, do I need mania or do I need apathy? I mean, usually it's going to be mania because it's constantly draining. And then, is this dialogue choice likely to give me the thing I need? Yeah, exactly. I think I probably wouldn't. I probably actually would be less annoyed if I actually saw, like, this will give you this. Because I'd rather just know than have to do the guessing, which kind of like kind of doubles up the feeling of it being a game. Light several bonfires, more than one, that's important. It's been since the first outbreak 5 years ago. Curious, but if it did,
what now?
All right, I probably can't go that much longer myself, so I need to hopefully find a clock in the near future. Or at least I assume it's a clock that I'm gonna be saving at. But it's good to see you, VFig, and hope to see you around in the future. Hope when you get a chance to get around to it that you have fun with Pathologic 3. The game dev studio question. The name does not ring any bells. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Magic Circle, Blackout Club. Blackout Club doesn't ring bells. Magic Circle might, but the problem is I know that phrase from other places, so I may just be conflating it with those. Head. Jordan Thomas. Do I know that? That's not a name that immediately comes to mind either. So I probably need to look him up and his work to because it's possible that I'm familiar with some of his stuff, just not by name, or I should say creator director by Shot 2. Oh, okay. The Shellbridge Cradle. Oh, okay. So I have played Bioshock 2, but I've actually never played any of the Thief games. I own them. I've kind of wanted to play them at some point, but haven't gotten around to it. Um, and I remember hearing lots of interesting stuff about the Thief games in general. I know a lot of people who love them. Uh-oh. Although, so I'm now like wondering because they're forcing in the Killing Stone. All dialogue is in AM pentameter and abuse written. Huh. That's an interesting. Because there's several things I could immediately think of like why you would do that. And that kind of again invites like a lot of like weird stuff you could be trying to do with the nature of the game. It might not be as deep as like something like Pathologic, but we are again just like, you know, as you said, like that is what's immediately on my mind as like what could be going on. Calling shots first. Why are we still locked in here? So one of the interesting things is that
They say the first
loot. Oh. Oh, okay. Hold on. So match, health, water. Oh, okay. I was wondering, like, why is it not describing anything? You start fires, health plus 50. A nutshell. Strychnine. Nothing there. All right. Have a good one, VFig. Three, not four, not. Better kept in pockets rather than my carpet bag. Oh, okay. That was a little weird. Why? Okay, hold on. Oops. Use.
Tone louder.
Okay, get to this. Right? Is this not a bonfire thing? Oh. It is. Okay. That's not what I wanted. I wanted... It's gonna be an issue.
I don't want to hear this.
No, I think that blue highlight is supposed to mean it will be something that will
You're too high strung.
excessive doses guiding clues begin to disappear. Guiding clues begin to appear before my eyes. Huh. Some alive here. No fires, no entry. The game's dead. So back to the orderlies. Fires are lit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 fire. 5. Five is the backbone. Well then, clear the exit to the district. Ask for people from fire to fire. Do not deviate from the route. Right, terrifying. Go in there. Can't be helped. Or it's orders. Why are you still standing there? Get on out to the clean district since you managed to walk all the way here. Sequence of districts. So this was what I was talking about earlier. So rather than like wandering around the town, you pick a district to go to. Oops. Hold on. Damn it. Wait. No. Oh, here we go. Okay. Because I accidentally pressed A twice. It's interesting. It gives me a. There we go. Okay, so I can go back. It's with the D pad. Not again going to controls and like telling you how to do stuff. So it shows me an arrow. It says A, continue. It shows me a forward arrow and a back arrow, meaning I can go back, but only shows me A, continue, because I can go back and forth with the D-pad, but it doesn't tell me. So, like, I don't know. It's not like there's no reason to like do it this way. Like I can press B to exit out. Why not just have B be, A to go forward, B to go back, then have B be like back out once I'm in, the route thing proper. Anyway. Avoiding dangerous districts or walk directly to my targets. So all right, and that hat said story saved. Big C Sawbones. Now understand your jingle jangle, not worth the hassle. Just tell me straight, am I plagued? Don't look sick. Found out my Kulan had died. Scared of my wits. I married her, she's of the kin, or was anyway. She left them, but was torn between the town and the steppe. Accord with her on purpose, she returned to her kind, wouldn't suffer her fate no more. It's too late for that. Don't want to die. Straight. Will I fall in Kulan soon? Should I prepare bread and milk? Or can't pass you by? Did fresh in the door. These are always fun at night dancing. Hey there, Akinar. How's it going? It's been, things have been, there's been some ups and downs recently. I don't know, because obviously you aren't always able to tune in. But I had to take a break for like 2-3 weeks because dealing with some stuff, namely my car broke down and I had to get a new one. So obviously stressful situation, so had to kind of figure out how to deal with it. Not a great way to ring in the new year, honestly. Really? Was something you were able to get? Because like what happened with mine is like it was literally because my car was so old and so expensive to fix. My insurance was like, we're not covering anything, and like part of it was something they normally would have covered. We're not covering it. We're going to write off as a total loss, and it's like, well, okay, this is now a kind of problem where I need to like figure out what to do next. And so I got a new, as in a decent used car. So I don't know if yours was something you were able to like fix. I know because you're, I believe, still in the middle of your job hunting, and it's not fun having to deal with that. When actually, especially if you're job hunting, since if you need to like go somewhere for an interview and it's like, uh-oh, I now have no method to get there. That was yours. It's like an alarm bell, artillery. Don't fit the scenery. Car was cooked. Secure a temporary. Yeah, that's the. Oof. Yeah, that's the like being cooked. Yeah, I had to like do one of those like, online car buying, like online get a used car kind of things. And so I ended up getting like a 2021 hybrid for, a pretty decent price, with like not that many miles on it. So the hope is that like this can be something that will last me for like a decade, or longer. And like it's, again, when I say my car was pretty old, like I bought that car the previous car in 2009. So like obviously cars can last for a long time if you do like, new parts and keep fixing stuff like that. But like, 16 years is like, okay, this car has lasted me a while. I would like to get something new. I had money like sort of stowed away that like saving up so at some point I could get a new car. Because what I ideally wanted to do was like save up enough that I can like just outright get a car. Probably not like I wouldn't really at this point go for something like expensive, so it'd be like kind of your base model of one of your kind of standard brands, like a Honda Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla, those kinds of things, like the lowest level you can get. But I did really want to try and get a hybrid if I could, just because obviously like excellent gas mileage just means like one less thing I have to worry about. They really do. I if it weren't for the fact that like getting a hybrid Civic right now is like 33 K, I would have just gotten one. So like if I had like another like 2 years to save, I might have been like, you know what, I can put down like a a good chunk of it as a down payment, and like the rest of it's not too bad. But yeah, so I ended up doing something like a 2021 Hyundai that had like 30k miles, a little over 30k miles, which at the rate I drive is practically nothing. Like I'll probably end up putting like another 30-40k within the next 5-6 years. So if that, and so so decent year, decent mileage. I think after your taxes and factoring in the interest on it, it ends up being like 25k. So yeah, it's I think the only thing that bumps me out a little bit is like I kind of wish I could have like gotten what I really wanted, because like once you're kind of at that point, it's like, well, okay, I'm trying to think now, like being more budget conscious, ergo trying to think about like what's on kind of like on the cheaper end, which means you have less choices about like, okay, stuff like color and stuff like that. And so I my previous car was like just a very, basic black. And I was like, you know what? I would like to not have a dark color again. Quite well, how hot, this neck of the woods can get. And then with the sun beaten down on a dark colored car is brutal. So I was like, okay, can I at least get like something a little bit lighter? And so, but the car I ended up getting was like a dark gray, which is like, cool. I'm like marginally better than I was in terms of like color, both aesthetically and in terms of the being, getting away from the heat. So, it's, but again, we're kind of at the point of like, I guess beggars can't be choosers. I have a car, which is probably more important. It lets me do various things. I could, for many things, get away with not having a car. I genuinely live close enough to work that like I can walk there, which is fine right now. It's not raining, and even though it's cold, like I'm fine walking in the cold weather. Just got to bundle up. But obviously in the summer, I'm walking 1.5 miles, and trying to do that in like 95, 100 plus degrees is not sustainable. And then the other thing is that I think I mentioned to you in a DM at one point that I play Warhammer. Specifically, I play the small scale version of Warhammer, which is called Kill Team. And I have to take my stuff over to the game shop, and that's like a good like 5-6 miles away, which A, not walking distance, and B, Sacramento has pretty good public transportation, but I'm taking like a pretty big, like, decent sized carrying case with like a bunch of teams and gear and stuff like that. It's like, it's not really viable to carry that on like the light rail or the bus. And so it's like I kind of need a car for that. And then I also travel down to play board games with a friend every now and then. and she lives like the next town over, which isn't that far away, but it's like too far to like, and that actually doesn't have like viable public transportation. So it's like, okay, I could either like, you know, just get a car, and I have like now the like freedom to like choose to do certain things, or I'm like, okay, I'm now at like the mercy of like public transit and Uber like every single day. So kind of bit the bullet on that one. But yeah, I've been as a consequence, I've like been kind of with myself for the past few weeks, trying to like, you know, deal with that stuff. You know, been doing stuff like I actually, because you mentioned in your Discord not too long ago you started playing Balatro, and I kind of also ended up like pulling that trigger as well, not long afterwards. So I've been doing a lot of Balatro in my free time, and then doing stuff like painting miniatures and stuff like that. So it's, you know, there's been good bits as well. Yeah, I am curious how far I'll go. I think I'm trying to make my goal to like hit the, like win a run at the highest stake. I may or may not try and do all unlocks, but I'm not fully certain of that. But I am definitely hitting a point of like, I don't know. It doesn't hit quite the same as for me as something like Hades. Yeah, I can see that as somebody who's much less of a like super min-maxer, who does a lot more like, you know, spur of the moment, like, okay, this seems to make sense and I don't really need to do the exact math on it. Is kind of like my runs go pretty quick, but then a good number of them end in failure, which at this point it's like, okay, we'll just start up a new one. But I kind of like, I kind of miss is something like Hades, where it was like, or even something like a Binding of Isaac, where it's like, okay, yes, there's a lot of stuff where like the stuff I'm getting along the way is going to help me, but there's some like core skill that I can exercise that like lets me kind of get around like a bad draw. And obviously Balatro doesn't work that way. You're kind of relying a lot on a fair amount on, you know, did I draw, you know, did the shop give me jokers that you know, mesh well with one another? If I got a particular joker, is the shop feeding me like, you know, tarot packs or celestial packs so that I can like buff it, or is it feeding me, you know, whatever it may be. Because like I there are times when I would like, oh, I got this joker which is fed by like, you know, using these kinds of cards, and so it's like, oh, I okay, I'll just like every time those packs come up, every time I see those cards, just use them, and that'll boost my multiplier. And then it's like the game was like, cool, never going to give you any of those again. And it was just like, well, cool, thanks, what was the point? And so and of course, like in a game like you know, Hades, it would be, well, okay, you can like, if you could like build like this really crazy thing of like getting these particular boons, like you can do some amazing stuff, but even if you don't get those right boons, well, okay, you still like, as long as you know how to dodge and are paying attention and can attack effectively, it may take longer, but you can still like get through what you need to. And I think is kind of the thing that will prevent Balatro from having like any kind of like long-term staying power over me. And why I'm kind of already like, I'm not sure if I want to like bother with all of the like, okay, I want to try and do all the unlocks and stuff like that. It's like, well, I think I'll just like, I think my goal will just be win on the highest stake. There, I'm good. Time to move on to something else. Because there is a lot of something else for me these days. I know, Millie, your backlog is pretty extensive. What with I think every game you start on your channel, there's like a third of the way through, there's 3 new recommendations in your Discord, and then 2/3 there's another 3, and then you're done, there's another 3. So you get 1 game done, you got 9 games that people say you should tackle. And they're never short games either. So, and of course, like, I'm trying to think about like, because you're on part 30 for Clair Obscure, 37 for Silk Song, and 36, 7, 8, somewhere around there for Blueprints, and like that's been what, 70 plus hours a pop, which is a long time to be spending on one game period. And then it's like, oh, the world wants me to spend another 70 plus hours on 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 other games. And it's like, well, only so much time you got. Yeah. So hopefully you can find something short. I know that I have recommended in the past, and I think you're aware of Undertale. And Undertale is one that you probably could, if you're still interested, you probably could go with. And it would be a fairly short game. Yeah, it's one where, trying to think about. I mean, it's one of those games where you can, like, like with playing other games, like you can extend it in various ways, but there is only so much you can do. That admittedly is, there's stuff there's stuff going on with that estimate, and so yeah, I would say more, it depends on a lot of things. It could be up to 20 hours. I feel like you might actually, depending on a couple things, I think it would. Yeah, I can't go too far into it without like actually spoiling stuff. So I think I just won't try. Yeah, I mean it's because admittedly you are doing a lot of like you have multiple times where you do your backtracking, and you do like full scale backtracking, and like let's do an NPC check and stuff like that. And that, like, you do it once and it takes not too long, but like you're doing it not every single video, but like multiple times throughout your playthrough, and like that's definitely going to extend your time, and stuff like that. And it should be granted that just like I'm doing like right now is when we are engaged in this act of like playing a game, you take a break and you might leave Silksong running. You definitely have to leave Blueprints running. Or it's like, oh, something happened and it's like, oh, I was surprised about this, and I'm going to talk about it. And next thing you know, you spent 20-30 minutes talking about something, and you've been on a screen with some dude's face on it and some dialogue for 30 minutes. And that happens. That just happens because that is the nature of streaming or recording a video. And so that time does have to be kind of factored in as well, which take it for what you will. And then but yeah, I mean it's I know you are a much more methodical player, and so it is probably fair to like fix those estimates a little bit. But I think Undertale will definitely be short. I'm trying to think about some of the other games people have mentioned. I think a lot of those would end up being longer games, though. Certainly your Souls-like ones are going to be, at least. Oh, Tunic's going to be. Tunic's going to be a while. I think you'll like it, but I think it's going to be a while. It's not going to be. It shouldn't be as much as some of your other stuff. So it would be short in comparison to. Tunic is probably like mid. So like in comparison to like Silksong and Clair Obscur and Blueprints, like it probably is like a short game. But in comparison to other stuff you could play, it's probably not going to be that short. It probably will take a fair bit. And there is probably there is probably going to be a fair amount of like you either doing notes review. There probably will be, now that I'm thinking about it, because I thinking about what I know of you, there will be at least one pretty extensive notes review session, and potentially more. So that should probably also be factored in, like time spent thinking about the game, even if you're not playing it at the moment. What were some others? Obviously Baldur's Gate 3 is going to take forever. Nine Souls, that's going to take a decent chunk of time. It probably wouldn't be as long as Silksong. Cause that'd probably be middle length, at least. Those are ones that immediately come to mind. And I'm trying to think of like puzzle puzzle games. I'm playing one recently that a friend bought me called Cypher Zero, which is a kind of inductive logic. So not too unlike The Witness, but whereas of course The Witness was like, you know, kind of open world exploration kind of stuff. It's just like a set of like levels. But I've been having a good deal of fun with it. So if you aren't already familiar with, there's a couple of other games that have that same setup. There's Understand, and I think the other one's called Insight. So those you might get a kick out of. The one I'm currently playing is called Cypher Zero. Let me type it in the chat. I'll type all three. That's wrong letter. That's all three of them. I actually did not. I ended up kind of being soured on Understand Insight. I didn't find them. I found them at a certain point to be a little more annoying. I've been really liking Cypher Zero. I just felt it kind of like felt a better sense of guidance about the mechanics. So it's like, oh, like an action, like a sense of realization, like, oh, this is what's going on. And feeling like I understand the rules eventually, as opposed to the other two where it was like, okay, I'm trying things. I think I got it. No, actually I don't. Okay. Wait, no, I do. No, I don't. Wait, no, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, just no. And so it kind of just left me with this feeling of like, yeah, I think Understand in particular, if I recall the story correctly, was developed by somebody who like really liked The Witness and was like, I want more. Did I do the wrong? It shouldn't be horror. I mean, there could be multiple games called Insight, and that could be what it was. I think I had a few. No, it is Insight. So I was correct on the name, but it's a grid-based puzzle. Let me grab the Steam page. Yes. Yeah, it has the English rendition is just the S, but it has that question mark in its so yeah, that's the one you're looking at. So grid based, you're cutting, you should see like cutting lines and stuff like that. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, you might get a kick out of Insight. But like I said, Understand was supposedly developed by somebody who was like played The Witness, is like, oh, I really like the the puzzles. I want to do more of this. I want more of this, and so it's like, well, I may as well just make a game about it. probably could well be up your alley. And then I've been kind of looking forward. There's some other puzzle games and stuff that are on the horizon that I've been looking forward to. I think you played what was it called? I like always knew the name, and then I suddenly forgot, and then it was a Quern. I assume you've played Quern. I feel like we've talked about it once before. And the devs behind Quern are I think about to come out with another game soon. And so I've been kind of looking forward to that. So yeah, there's been a lot of things I've been kind of looking forward to. This is actually what I'm working on right now. Don't know if you're familiar with Pathologic at all. Pathologic was mid 2010s, I think. I never actually played Pathologic 1. Kind of brutal survival, where you're a doctor in a town that's hit by a plague, and you're trying to like figure out how to like, so just to put it simply, do what you can. And you're kind of managing like a bunch of resources and your health and your hunger and your time and stuff like that. And so it has this very like oppressive atmosphere to it. And a very like kind of like weird mystical story behind a lot of it. And so I only have played Pathologic 2. Yes, in a sense. Pathologic 2, you actually didn't. That was a much more straightforward survival game. In some senses, but it does a lot of like weird stuff about like I love like themes and exploring themes in games, stuff like that, and so it did a lot of weird stuff with like what is the nature of like playing a game and doing things like saving and loading and dying and coming back and stuff like that. We know that the game is a game, and therefore like when you are engaged in dialogue, is this like, is this a play that you are performing? Are you like the character that you're playing as, or is the character like their own entity that you are merely controlling, kind of stuff? So a lot of fun things with like the boundary between you as the player and the character in the game. And so I really love the game. I played it multiple times, and so I was looking forward to this coming out. And they're just doing a lot more of that. Like it is very kind of in your face, actually, in some ways with a lot of that theming. So I've been this will probably be consuming me for some pun intended, for a little while. Yeah, it's there's so much stuff to play, which is actually one of the interesting things I was kind of thinking about a while back, watching your videos, and the way you play. I think it is going to be interesting when you get to my playthrough of Silk Song, the way I play and engage with stuff, it is a bit of a shame that that I didn't save my blueprints stuff, because like our approaches to these games are very different at the end of the day. And so, which is part of the reason why I like watching your stuff, is it is like a window into a completely different mind. But anyway, I did. So I think there's like a couple little things that I did off stream. And I don't just mean like, a little bit of grinding for beats and stuff like that, but I think like I'm trying to remember as you were going through the dancers fight recently. I was in that section, the verdant path, verdant something. You were going through that. I was trying to remember, did I do that on Las Verdania? That's what it was. Thank you. I was trying to remember if I had done that on stream or not. I'm hoping that I did it on stream. I haven't gone back to check yet. But I know there were a few little things that I did not do on stream, and so, but most of what I did, I played of Silk Song is available on YouTube. So I know that once you're done, which also means it's like I think I only did like, I think I was only playing for 2 weeks, so I think it's like 13, 14 episodes. At like 3.5 hours a pop. So it'd be far faster to get through them than your playthrough. And depending on your how kind of there's some other people you enjoy watching and you're looking for the end of their playthroughs. I don't know how they play, if they're more akin to your style. So they may also be like, oh, here's episode 45 of Silk Song for 2 hours. But if they're like that, again, it will be like a very different approach. And the reason I had different approaches, I'm like, look, only so much time I got. I gotta I want to do this. 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 And I only got so much patience for certain things. Let's go. So, but yeah. So looking forward to seeing how you progress through all three of those games. It's I am always glad to see you sort of enjoying all that stuff. And I'm very curious how you react to certain things at future points without getting into even the slightest bit of specifics. But it sounds like you're tired. I should probably let you go. I myself am kind of just going to finish up this conversation with this guy, and then I was about to kind of And because I don't know what the like a good stopping point for me is in terms of the game, but I need to go to bed soon so that I can wake up for work as you know, life demands of us. So let's see. So this guy was scared of being sick. We said he wasn't. Looking for Ruben. Gone to him with the play question. Barack's apprentice. Vanished. You think he's in the warehouses. Don't know where Ruben went. Ask the kids. Okay. And so if I do continue there, what happens? Does it put me... It should theoretically... Okay. Hang on. Yes. Okay. That's what I was expecting. So it put me just before I transitioned over. So I'll have to redo that conversation, which is fine. But that at least lets me... I was worried about like saving and loading. Yeah, no, it is good to try and have a consistent bedtime. I try to do the same, emphasis on try. So, yeah. So I think I'm going to, call it a night myself. Had lots of fun discussions tonight. And I will be returning. I think what I'm going to do is, until I'm done, I'm going to do this Tuesdays and Saturdays, and very likely going to see if I can find time to work this in on other nights as well. Just because I'm like, it's going to be hard for me to like spend multiple days like not playing this. So minimum those will be my 2 nights. And I will try to come back on Monday with more Tunic practice, Tunic practice. I've at least gone through and identified the like spots where I need to like really cut my times down. But actually doing that has been tough. What with painting and other games and stuff. I think if that fails, I'll probably Pathologic may kind of infect that as well. So, but we'll see how that works. Until then, Akinar, thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out with me for a bit. I will looking forward to seeing your next videos. VFig was here earlier. Want to thank them for dropping by. Anybody else who was here, want to thank you for hanging out. And hope to see you around. And I hope to see people for more Pathologic 3 on Saturday night. Take care, everyone. I'll see you around.